Positive thing Justin Trudeau might have rarely displayed on China has been basically completely erased by the story we saw yesterday. This one came out from a Freedom of Information request. And what it was is that the People's Liberation Army, which is the Chinese Communist army, known for such acts as Tiananmen Square, which is not something they like to talk about much over there. It never happened. But here we know it did happen in PLA. We're training in Canada to perform cold weather exercises. Now we have the... Hello, dear viewers, and welcome back to This Week in Canada, 28 or 29. My name is Roberto Wakerel Cruz. With me, once again, is Nico Johnson. Nico, why don't you say hello?
Hey guys, how you doing? It's my birthday. Roberto was supposed to say so, but he managed to forget. So I'm the most hungover man in Christendom, but I'm going to push through that nevertheless. I'm going to do my best for the podcast because I care about, delivering the news with no bias like the CBC. Isn't that right, Bobby?
Exactly. We were kind of considering having Granger on, but Nico really stepped up. Of course, we all very much like to hear his South African accent, telling us a lot of nice things. And boy, do we have a big episode. Very happy to be doing this one because yesterday was a total storm of news and a lot of China-related news. And that's exactly what we're going to start on because today, which is, you guys will be seeing this on Friday. We record these on Thursdays. Today is actually the 2-year anniversary of the two Michaels being held hostage, basically. So let's give a big, it's their birthday too. It's Nico's birthday and 2 years of two Michaels in prison. So
yeah, and it's worth to, I know this is a pretty horrific story, and I think we brush over it too much. So they arrested these two guys who are just businessmen, Canadian businessmen, for espionage in response to Meng Wanzhou, the Huawei executive, being arrested for actual crimes in Canada. And, what I think about this in particular is consider for a moment the symbolism. They're arresting two Canadians for one Chinese princeling. It's pretty shocking what they do. And quite frankly, that alone means that we have to be extremely strong with China. We need, this is our dignity. These are two lives at risk here. And on top of that, all the other stuff that China gets up to. And we haven't been. We're the only NATO country, really, that hasn't actually stepped up and condemned China in any proper way. I know we've made a few statements. So, and the story that came out, I think, yesterday is just another example of Canada being bullied. The Trudeau government, the Liberals, rolling over for the Chinese regime, treading on eggshells, doing everything they can not to offend Xi Jinping. It's kind of disgusting.
And let's get into exactly what that story is because, maybe a few months ago, I feel like you and I kind of gave Justin Trudeau a little bit of credit when he was being strong on not exchanging Meng Wanzhou for the two Michaels. And we all, at least you and I thought that, okay, he's at least... sticking to principle. But any kind of goodwill, any kind of good deed, any positive thing Justin Trudeau might have rarely displayed on China has been basically completely erased by the story we saw yesterday. This one came out from a Freedom of Information request. And what it was is that the People's Liberation Army, which is the Chinese Communist army, known for such acts as Tiananmen Square, which is not something they like to talk about much over there. It never happened. But here we know it did happen in PLA. We're training in Canada to perform cold weather exercises. Now, we have the Chief General, basically Canada's director of the army, that canceled this program because he said, maybe this isn't a good idea that we have Chinese troops on Canadian soil in Ontario training. This is kind of, messed up. To which Foreign Affairs Canada said, whoa. Why'd you cancel that? That's really messed up because we don't want to get China upset because we're trying to get these two Michaels back. So basically just rolling over, letting China do whatever they want and training military on our land. Are we a colony? of China.
It's really, really bizarre. It's really bizarre. You know, it's like the Roman Empire inviting, you know, the Visigoths to train in Tuscany.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's like the US inviting the USSR in the 1950s to train in, you know, Utah or something. I don't understand why they did it to begin with.
Yeah.
And the fact that Trudeau was outraged, he didn't want to seem like he was condemning China in response to these two Michaels getting arrested. Shows just the weak will this guy has. You know, a lot of you, I'm sure, are old enough to remember Pierre Trudeau's premiership. And, you know, there's a lot of things to criticize about Pierre Trudeau. But, you know, I don't think at the very least, he was strong enough to sort of have a personality. You know, in response to the October crisis, which again is a hotly contested subject, but at least it showed that he had some leadership, some strength. Trudeau, his son, just gets rolled over. You know, he's like a child in the eyes of these leaders. It's really embarrassing.
It is embarrassing.
Awful.
And yeah, you're basically spot on. Pierre Trudeau took a stand. You know, just watch him. He did what he thought was right, and he did it convincingly. He took a firm stance. And here's something I wanted to touch on. This was during a press conference earlier today where Aaron O'Toole repeatedly, a few times, called Justin Trudeau naive. I don't even know if that's necessarily the right term. I don't think he's just unaware of the implications of letting China do these things. I think he just has absolutely no ability to stand up to China. It's not necessarily naivety as much as it is cowardice.
Cowardice. Yeah.
Total cowardice.
Bang on.
Yeah.
God, you know, Bobby and I are chiming in together. That was fantastic.
Yeah, we're like Siamese twins.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I was thinking? I really dislike the government.
That was a fun transition, eh, Nico?
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Really fun.
Again, this week we have a little message from our friends at SodaStream. This is their bottle right here. Unfortunately, I don't have the machine with me to show you guys how fun and cool our SodaStream machine is, but I guarantee you, if you're enjoying a meal, if you're sitting on your porch, if you're having a nice summer ratatouille, a nice SodaStream goes very well with that. And speaking of ratatouille, did you guys know that Nico thought that Ratatouille, the dish, was made for the Pixar movie Ratatouille? Anyway, let's move on to our to our next topic, which is the Justin Trudeau Liberals are pushing for a brand new bill. It's called Bill C-19, which will be pushing for reforms, changes to the future election, which will happen. We don't know when. What this bill will do will basically change it from a one-day election to a 3-day election spanning from Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday, with 8 hours each day, and then Monday, I think, 12 hours. But what this bill also contains is vast expansions for mail-in voting. Now, we're not going to get too into mail-in voting and exactly what happened in the U.S. That's not really our territory. But what I think is that it's bad for confidence in institutions. And that's basically my take there. Nico, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, I think mail-in voting has always been problematic. You know, even before the US election, I remember in the UK we have postal votes, which people can do before the election. There's always issues with them. Mm-hmm. I also think, I mean, that's less of a concern for me as the actual spanning an election 3 days. It's not good for a country not to have any idea who their leader is for 3 days. That just breeds instability. I mean, we saw that in the US. You know, there was very clearly, it was an unstable time. Yeah. And I don't know why we're doing that. And I think, you know, obviously this is going to run out, I think, after coronavirus. I think it's only in the next 90 days if there's an election. I seem to see, I read that. But still, it's just, I think, what's the point? You know, save people from coronavirus, perhaps. Can't you just, like, increase the space in the queue if you're really concerned about that? It seems to me it's as you said, it undermines public trust in democracy. And on top of that, it breeds instability.
Absolutely. Especially because our news cycle is so heavily bombarded with United States news from the U.S. Yeah. And people over there, I mean, there's a good chunk of the population that because of the mail-in voting, because of the way the election was held, just don't have confidence in the results. And because we're used to this idea now, I'm afraid that a similar thing could happen in Canada, and that's absolutely not something I want to go through in Canada. The real kicker here, though, I believe, is how little attention this has got. Because, look, we don't know when this election is going to be. It hasn't been called yet. If it's held in the summer, isn't there something we could do with like outdoor voting if that's really a concern? But even also if it's in the summer, I thought over half the population, Trudeau said, was supposed to be vaccinated by then. So what exactly is going on here? Are we having a winter election? Are they plotting something? Is something starting to boil here? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it's not great, to be honest. I think, again, it just shows distrust. Also, on another note, this is a bit of an aside, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. The leader of the Ontario Liberal Party, Stephen Del Duca, also an Italian and therefore a fascist, is one of the weirdest guys I've ever seen. He looks weird. There's something wrong with his mouth. He's bald, and I think it's fine to go bald. You know, lots of men go bald. Roberto's probably going to go bald. But my God, does that guy have a smooth and round head? He looks strange. He looks like he's constantly uncomfortable. And he speaks, it's what we in the UK call camp, which I suppose I can sort of cautiously say is flamboyant, if you know what I mean.
No, use camp.
Yeah. And he's, I don't know, he's very, very odd. And I think, Doug Ford, he's beatable, is all I would say. If they had a proper Liberal candidate, I actually think the Liberals could do well in the next election. This guy is pathetic. He's going to get less seats than the NDP again. He's just large, uncomfortable. He dribbles. He makes these awful videos. He hires these people, like he makes these speeches. Surely the Ontario Liberal Party can hire a joke writer. His jokes were just awful. Like, can we actually do a clip of like
sure, let's put a
jokes?
Clip.
I just can't imagine what went through Doug Ford's head or his cabinet's head or his caucus's head to support someone who is an Islamophobe, a homophobe, and a bigot, and to do it for what would clearly appear to be political payback because McVitie and his friends helped Doug Ford become leader of that party. It's just shocking to me. The kind of Ontario that I believe in supports tolerance and diversity and equality. It's what we're supposed to celebrate. It's what we're supposed to fight for. It's shocking to me that Doug Ford clearly doesn't believe in that kind of Ontario.
What a cretin, you know?
Here's something I have to say. For one, he's super weird. The Ontario Liberals, for those outside of the province, if you don't really know, I believe they got decimated. They were in power for 12 years or maybe something longer.
It was like 14. It was a
14
long
years.
time.
And I think they lost all but, I want to say, 6 seats.
Yeah.
Maybe 6 or 7 seats. So they have 7 MPPs. They've been absolutely annihilated. And what do? They get this weirdo in here. Do you remember when Doug Ford, it was at the start of the pandemic, and he said something about, folks, I make a mean cheesecake. And then the next day, Stephen Del Duca comes out with a video where he's in a kitchen making a cheesecake and going, we don't care about cheesecake. We care about saving people's lives.
And he got totally lambasted for it because it was just like, oh, come on. But he's really, really bizarre. I think there's something wrong with him. I almost don't want to criticize him too much because I'm scared I'm going to read on his Wikipedia that he's got like something genuinely wrong with him or something. But like, if he doesn't, then he should just be, they need to find a new leader. Because they need some competition.
Here's one more thing that, it's speaking of things that are wrong. Here's something I stumbled upon right before this episode started. And let's show this tweet. So this is a CTV journalist having a real soy boy moment over Justin Trudeau owning a model of the Millennium Falcon. As you can see, this is a recent photo. I don't remember this happening, but you can see in the photo there's some poinsettias, which would indicate to me that it's a Christmas photo. And the replies to this are very mixed. It's half, wow, Justin Trudeau likes the second largest earning franchise ever too. and then there's also a lot of people saying there's a lot of Siths in the comments. Keep strong and prosper or whatever the hell. Can I just go on a rant? And this might split the audience.
Yeah. Star
Wars sucks. There's nothing good about Star Wars. It's for children. If you rewatch them, they're lame. The Mandalorian, I guess, is kind of cool. I watched a couple episodes of that. That seems okay. But if you like Star Wars and you kind of freak out over Justin Trudeau having a Millennium Falcon on your desk, you shouldn't be allowed to vote.
I don't know about that. I think like the first 3 movies of Star Wars, like the New Hope in particular, is a good movie, like a really good movie. Come back! What a transition! It's my birthday. James, can I get a Nico birthday graphic? Thank you so much. It is my birthday. You have to do it. And secondly, because it's my birthday, dear viewers, you know what you could do for me, which I would genuinely really appreciate, is subscribe to our Patreon. The show costs money. It's important for us to keep up. We love doing it, and I hope you guys enjoy watching it. But obviously, it takes some time out of our day. It costs money to produce it and all the rest of it. So if you can, give what you can and all the rest of it. We want to keep going, and the Patreon allows us to do so. So you can find it on this link, which we'll put in the description, and James put it on the screen. Give me $2. That'd be very helpful. But secondly, what happened this week? Well, Chrystia Freeland came out and said she wants to go after your savings. Now, this is, somewhat. There's 2 sides to this, I would say. The first side is that people saving money is bad for the economy. It's just like a fact. But the government is sort of supposed to know that and accept that it's okay because, people have retirements and stuff to, save their money for.
Yeah, exactly.
So she's trying, and she's going to create government policy to take the savings from your pocket. Guess what, guys? Chrystia Freeland and Bill the Cuck Morneau for the last year have been depleting your savings by basically printing money with the Canadian dollar. So your savings are now getting attacked from 2 sides here. And that's not great. Bobby, what do you think?
I don't have savings.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Obviously, I was very shocked to hear that. And honestly, I watched the first time she had said it live, and I didn't catch it because the terminology, of course, that they used is something like preloaded savings or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Preloaded stimulus, I think, is maybe the term that they use, which is a very kind of blanketed way to make sure that the person listening doesn't immediately put up a red flag. I think it's pretty egregious. I don't like it, though. I do know a few people that did not need CERB and collected a lot of it and just put it in their savings. So
yeah,
I can maybe understand that, but at the same time, I am not a fan. I'm not going to vouch for that. I think it's a stupid idea. And to be honest, I'm starting to really miss Bill Morneau. I didn't think it would be able to get worse, but I mean, no one, I don't think, was really expecting Chrystia Freeland to get that position. And at first I thought, well, how bad could it be? Of course, with these liberals, it's always so much worse than you think it could be. I thought the same thing when Trudeau got in. And I was speaking to my dad about this, and he said, I could never have imagined how disastrous this administration is. So, yeah. I mean, there's a lot there. Let's hope it doesn't happen. I don't know how. I don't think. I feel like if they did that, they would lose the next election. I don't think that, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think that's why it's pretty cruel. It may help the economy, but the thing is that there's more to the economy than GDP. And actually, a government has to take into account the quality of life and things like that. So when you get the Liberals, this is almost quite a conservative policy. If you get the Liberals, actively going after your savings, making sure you spend that money. Usually, by the way, and Pierre Poilievre was quite clever about this, when Canadians spend money, they usually spend it on American companies, meaning it's just leaving the country like a massive drain. So it seems to me to be pretty stupid, pretty cruel. Not something I even expected Chrystia Freeland to do. I thought she'd be sort of more warm-hearted, but it turns out no, she's a total cynic. And it's sort of a shame. Guys, you should email us, bobbyandnico@gmail.com. Let us know what you want to hear. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. Tell me your thoughts. I do read all of them. As I said, it's very, very flattering. And we haven't been plugging in email enough, so I've sort of seen the numbers dwindle a bit. But
exactly.
Please do.
Exactly. And let's hope that this episode gets more views than the last one. Don't know what happened there, but we still love you guys. Make sure you give us a like. Make sure you subscribe. Please visit our Patreon. You can subscribe. Just buy us a coffee. We would really appreciate it. It does go a long way, especially in these tough times. We know how attached people are to their dollars right now, so any dollar would be super appreciated. Other than that, Nico, is there anything else that we should say here?
No, I don't think so. I think it's been a pretty solid week.
I think
Let us
so
know,
too.
guys.
And happy birthday, Nico. He's getting older, so have a good week, fellas.
Goodbye, guys.